Normally, when an object is transformed, it's transformed relative to its pivot point or anchor point. But we can change that behavior and make it so that, for example, a selection of objects will rotate around a common center. And that's accomplished from this button up here, which is variously labeled depending upon which option is chosen. But it's the Use Transform Coordinate Center flyout. And it has three options: pivot point, selection center, and reference coordinate center. So I'm going to just set this back to its default up here, which is pivot point. And I'm going to change my reference coordinate system over to view or world, doesn't matter which. But it just can't be gimbal in this case, otherwise we won't be able to see the effect. So I'm in view coordinate system, which is the default, and I'm in use pivot point center. I'll drag a selection rectangle around these two sofas and the table and the dodecahedron. And as soon as I did that, this icon changed up here. Now it says Use Selection Center, whereas before I made that multi-object selection, it said Use Pivot Point Center. So I'll click and drag, and I'm able to rotate around the common center of all of those vertices. I'll undo that with Control Z. If we want to rotate each object around its own pivot point, we can go up here to the flyout and choose Use Pivot Point explicitly. And now the manipulator hasn't moved, but if I rotate, you'll see that each object is rotating around its own pivot point. Okay, I'll undo that. And then the last one down here at the bottom is Use Reference Coordinate Center. And when that's active, then you need to choose something up here in your reference coordinate system pull down. And if it's in the view coordinate system, then it's not really going to do what you want. It's just going to rotate around some arbitrary location. But if you choose something explicitly up here, then you'll be able to rotate around that thing. So for example, if I choose world, now look what happened. Over here in my perspective view, the rotate gizmo is now at the origin of the world. It's now at the center where all the axes intersect. And I can go over there, right-click so I don't lose my selection, and now orbit all those objects around the world origin. I'll undo that. So that's how this one works here. Use Transform Coordinate Center will access the reference coordinate system that you've chosen here. And additionally, if you want, you could choose an arbitrary object as your point of reference. So I could go up here and say, choose pick, and then pick an object, just click on something. And that was sofa number 2 there. And then I can make sure I have Use Transform Coordinate Center active. And the object's name is truncated here, but it is listed. And now I can orbit around that object. Okay, so I'll undo that. So that's a basic introduction to how to use the reference coordinate system and also the reference coordinate center flyout to move and rotate objects in various ways.